Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Hillary. Welcome to my home in St. Louis. I can't wait to show you around. Come on inside.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Hello, my name is Hillary Muscatello, and we are in my home in St. Louis, Missouri. So our home was built in the 90s. It was the last home built in our neighborhood. It is right on the edge of the lake, and it is on the edge of a hill as well. And so we have a lot of tiers in our gardening. It's really beautiful and rocks. We moved to this house 3 years ago during COVID, and we really were just craving the outside and having some space. My husband wanted a pool. It's very warm where we live. And so we were on the hunt for a house for a while. And this one popped up. It has a lake in the front, a creek in the back, and a pool. And it was perfect for our family. But what I really loved was that I had a lot of space that I could create gardens, and we could eventually do some chickens and different things like that. And so that is kind of just how we came upon this house. Our home is a Craftsman style home, but it is very traditional in the way that it is set up, with a formal living and dining room in the front. And so when you walk through the home, it feels very similar to just a traditional American home, I would say. So when people ask me about my style and what it is, I have given it a name, and it is called the President's Brother. And what I mean by that is that instead of it being very traditional or very relaxed, it's kind of in the middle. So if you would think about a President's Brother, he would still be classy and, you know, able to go to a nice dinner party, but he can be more relaxed because he's not in the limelight. And so that's how I like to think about my home in the way that I've decorated it. We have a lot of texture, and so instead of picking, let's say, like a satin, I would pick a linen. Or instead of picking a glossy piece, I would pick a more matte piece. And so just having that style mantra has really helped me figure out how to keep each room cohesive with the rest of the home. So if I had to give it a name, I would probably say rustic traditional with an elevated feel, if that's a thing. Welcome to our foyer. I believe the foyer is one of the most pivotal parts of your home and when you're designing, because it's what greets your guests. It shows what they're going to be expecting throughout the rest of the house. And so I take a lot of time to decorate my foyers and design them and think about what textures and colors that I want in them. So for me, when we bought this house, I was so excited to have this staircase. I always wanted to be able to have a kind of fun themed runner on a staircase to showcase the house when someone walked in. And this runner is so perfect for our home. We had it custom made. It is wool, and even with the kids and the dog, it still has stayed really clean. I was kind of worried about the white getting a little bit too dirty, but it has been great. The herringbone is what keeps it traditional, but then that light, almost like chambray denim color is what keeps it relaxed and feeling comfortable and warm. So then when you go throughout the rest of the home, you'll know that you're going to see blues, and you're going to see relaxed fibers and textures, and also traditional elements because we use this herringbone. So come over here. I want to show you my foyer table. This was a piece I actually saw a really fun inspiration piece for on Pinterest, and I was like, I need to have a piece like that in my home. We are from New England, and there's a lot of louvre doors in New England. There's Cape Cod specifically. We vacation there in the summer, and so I wanted to have something that reminded us of that and where our family lives. So I had been on the lookout for a piece that I could customize, and I was having a hard time finding it. And then one day I walked into one of our favorite local consignment stores, and this chest was $50. So I had a local artisan who paints. She's actually painted a lot of pieces in our home. She painted this for me. I got to pick out the color, make sure that it blended with all of the other colors that we have in the home, like a soft blue versus too navy. And she distressed the edges for us. But this has been such a fun piece, and I really feel like it helps draw people in. We always have, well, I always have a candle going. This candle is a cedar candle. It helps create a good, like, warm smell when people walk in. It's very relaxing. And so I always have cedar or bergamot candles on this foyer table. I actually had this painted. This is a great piece I had painted for my husband for our anniversary. And it is a picture of our pond and our dock and everything. So this kind of just sets up the home as well by having this custom piece here. And then I always have humongous branches on, so my friends usually get twigs in their hair as they walk through my house, but they don't seem to mind it. But this is a holly, branches of American holly from a tree in my yard. And so I just feel like it creates a nice warm space. Sometimes we'll put candies on there for our guests, or mint. I like to have mints when a bunch of ladies come over so they don't feel like their breath stinks. So yeah, this is just a fun space, and it needed to be not too deep because I wanted people to sometimes have large groups of people. So every other week we have a small group in our home from our church, and there's about 30 to 40 people that come. So I needed to be able to have plenty of space. You usually only need about 3 feet, but we have about 5 feet here. And I wanted to be able to have that much space so that when a full family walks through, they can make their way through without having to shuffle and feel uncomfortable. So that is why we kept this nice and wide. So this American flag, I also have this in our foyer. It's a little bit more, I would say, probably relaxed than the other pieces, but that's okay with me. So this is an antique that I found at an antique store many years ago. It's hung in many different places of our house. And I loved this soft blue that the sun turned the flag, because it actually blends really well with the cabinet color I chose. And then this is that color that's even on the rug and everything. So this was just sun bleached, but it actually really helped to pull in all those colors from the rest of the house. The homeowners before us were builders, and so they had really made this beautiful space and put a lot of fun amenities into it, like steam showers and speakers throughout. It was really great, but it was in their taste, which was more French country and I would say darker tones. And so we have lightened up the whole house. We had the whole house painted. I had a lot of the woodworking that they had done painted. One of the biggest questions I always get asked is, did you paint all of the trim, or are you going to do it? And the answer to that is no, because we really love how this house feels warm and cozy with the wood trim, and it makes it distinctive from other homes. It also feels very woodsy, which is what we really loved. I actually took a lot of inspiration from yachts as I was designing the house and picking out colors and things like that. So you'll see that throughout the house. It's just this warm yacht type feel with the white, crisp whites, but then a lot of the warm tones, and then also gold and things like that. So we didn't have to do a lot of renovations. We did do a good amount in the kitchen, but everything else was mostly just paint. Here we are in my dining room, and I know a lot of people are turning their dining rooms over to playrooms or office spaces, but we use our dining room all the time, and I really love having this space for bigger parties. And even we do special dinners in here all the time with the kids, and it's so fun. We designed this room off of our favorite restaurant in St. Louis. It's named Annie Gunn's, and it's very like American bar type food, beautiful steaks. They have chili and all of those like really warm, hearty foods, but they do it in absolutely amazing ways. Their culinary art is amazing. And so we always love going there. It's our favorite we do date lunches there, my husband and I, on Fridays. And so I designed this room after that restaurant because it's just a really great pastime for us. In that, even though the restaurant is slightly different than the rest of our home, I made sure to pick all of the hues and the colors to reflect the rest of the home and keep it really warm and earthy. The paint is a very dark green from Faro and Ball called Studio Green, and it gives that like warm, earthy vibe. And in the restaurant, they have a lot of brick on their walls, and so I did not want to do that because we don't have brick on the rest of the house. So instead I went with like the dark green tones. It still feels very like country club warm, and we kept the wood trim because it is so beautiful and thick in here, creates that just cigar lounge type vibe. And this table has a great story. So the previous owners were downsizing and were selling off some pieces of furniture, and they had this table. It fit well in the space. It actually extends even further, and so we can get a lot of people in this room. And so I bought it from them, but it was covered in like a very red, older type fabric. So I had them redone in this beautiful linen with that chambray stripe, again, that's dictating from the foyer, but they're really plush and soft. And so I know a lot of modern type chairs now are smaller and get that like smaller aesthetic vibe, but I wanted something big and cozy so that when we're sitting in here, we want to stay around the food and not have to move to be comfortable. And so these chairs are extremely soft, and my kids have not gotten them dirty. I don't know how that's even possible, but they are cushioned, and the backs are cushioned too, and we really love them. Your head can even recline on the back. So we have long dinner discussions here with friends about politics and religion and all different things that we really enjoy. And this is a great space to do that in. I got this chandelier. It is a Williams-Sonoma home chandelier that I found, I could not believe it, on Facebook Marketplace one day. I was looking for something else and someone was selling it. They had just downsized. So I got the chandelier from there. This mirror is one of my probably best finds to date. So my husband is almost full-blood Italian. A lot of the things within our home are indicative of Italian style or from Italy, just because I feel like that creates a good story for us. And so I had been studying and looking at Italian gilt mirrors. I thought they were really beautiful. And this was in our previous home. Our previous home was much more traditional, I would say, in the architecture and very grand when you walked in. So I needed a really big, beautiful mirror to make a statement. So I had been researching, trying to figure out what piece would be perfect for our space. And I came across a lot of Italian gilt mirrors. They were they have a lot of intricate woodwork. They have beautiful detailing even in the glass here on the edges. And I loved this top piece up here. It has florals in it and fleur-de-lis, just very feminine, but also stately. And so I was, again, I have an obsession with Facebook Marketplace. I was on Facebook Marketplace looking for something else, and this popped up for $100. I couldn't believe it. I ran on to First Dibs and Cherish to make sure that it was pretty close to what I had been looking at, and the ones on there were about $6,000. So I ran to the woman. I had all the kids in the car. It was the middle of the winter. Ran to her house and picked this up. I actually kind of felt bad. I'm like, do you not realize what you're selling here? But she didn't care. It has the authenticity sticker on the back, and it's from Italy. Straight wood, so beautiful, and I got it for $100. Can you believe it? It was just crazy. So this is one of my favorite exciting pieces, and we've had to do a little bit of gluing work to it over time because it is very old. I actually don't know the age of it, but it's old and the wood has gotten brittle, so we have had to do some work to it. But it is so fun. I was kind of worried when we moved to this house that it would be too stately for this room because this room is a little bit more relaxed. But because it's so big and it has a great story to me, I was like, let's just put it in and we'll see. And now I really love it. It kind of breaks up all of the more comfortableness and gives it just an elevated vibe. So we still feel like we can get dressed and come in here and have a great party. This chest is from a local boutique that we frequent a lot. They have great pieces, and I loved this cutout detailing. It's just a little bit different than the standard furniture that you would find. It kind of reminds me of some French pieces. And so I picked that. I wanted it to be dark to blend with the wall because I wanted the focal point to be the chandelier and dining space versus, and the mirror versus this specifically. So I didn't want the credenza to compete with the mirror or the dining space. So this is the bar cart in our dining room. I serve a lot of drinks from here. We have all of our bar accessories and things like that. And I wanted to be able to create even just a little vignette even within this space. So I found this painting in my uncle's shop. He has a shop in Maine called the Craft Shop, and he sells a lot of antique and vintage pieces in it. And this painting is from a Maine painter. My husband actually had it shipped from Maine to our house for my birthday, which was so sweet because it was too big to get into my suitcase. And so I just love this. It reminds me of home. I vacationed in Maine twice a year for my whole life. It's where my grandmother lives and obviously my uncle too. And so this was a great piece for me. I like how casual it is versus how formal some of the champagne buckets and other things that we have are. I feel like it creates a great juxtaposition, and I even will decorate it for Christmas and things like that. So this is a very special piece to me. This bar cart I get asked about all the time. I was again on Facebook Marketplace. I feel like I'm going to be a broken record here, but I was on Facebook Marketplace for this, and I was looking for a chair for a specific space. And I went to the home, and the chairs were not good quality, and they weren't right. So I was about to leave, and as I walked out of the home, I saw this bar cart, and I asked the owner, "Are you by any chance selling that?" I was like literally shopping in their house, and they said, "You know what? Yeah, we didn't even list it, but we don't need it." And I said, "I would love to buy it from you." So I can't remember how much I spent on this, $100 maybe. But I love it. I think it's so fun, and it actually blended really well with the table. That was not bought at the same time. This was bought many years before, but it blended great with the table, which was awesome. It has this marble top, and then I accessorized it with this fun little "thank you for not smoking." Again, because this is like that American lounge feel, I thought it would be funny. So every time my friends come over and they get a drink, they're like, you know, what is that? I'm like, we're an American bar, but you can't smoke in my house. So yeah, so that's that little piece there. This is one of the gallery walls we have in our home. I love to have, or I need to have, organized wall art and spaces so that I can create messy things, if that makes any sense. Probably not, but a lot of my florals are very wild, and so I need to have organize things on my wall to help with my line of vision. So this gallery wall is very symmetrical. Each print is different. They're all James Audubon prints. They're all antiques. I got from a woman on Instagram. Marie Claire is her name, and she sells lots of really beautiful vintage and antique items. So I got all of these from her and then had them all framed. And you will see throughout the rest of the house that we have a lot of Audubon prints. I think it's very indicative of where we live. I also love that he was an American painter and artist. I love all of the colors that he used, and I used a lot of the inspiration from his colors to pick textiles and things throughout the house because they're all very, they blend so well together. Before I started Tello & Rose, I always knew that I wanted to have my own product line or brand of some sort. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but I knew I wanted something to call my own. And so after college, and actually even during college, I worked in a lot of different types of design studios. So I worked in a home goods design studio. We created pillows and rugs for big brands like Martha Stewart and Macy's. And then I worked in a game design studio, and that was actually my most fun job. We were creating names for games and I got to play with the Risk designer. I got to play do twist with the Twister designer, and so that was my most fun job, I would say, because those people were so unbelievably creative, and we were really creating fun things for families. So that was really helped me to see really down deep into the design process, how far it goes. We would have brainstorming sessions about names for characters and what colors should we put on this game, and it really helped me to understand that even just something as simple as a game is is creating a memory. And so I learned so much from that to be able to bring into my own brand. After I worked there, then I worked in the fashion industry, and I did a lot of social media shoots for different brands within. I worked for TJX, so TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods, and I worked on all of their social media platforms. And that helped me to see what really goes into shooting for social media. There's so much more that people don't have any idea about, and it really helped me to finesse my own just skills in how to frame out a pillow, or how to capture the lighting of something. So that really helped me learn a lot about that. And all of those experiences are what helped me create my own brand, picking from each one of them to see really what I wanted to do on my own. So Tello Rose is mostly inspired by the women in my life. I love creating a women's magazine of sorts with the content that I create. I know that in social media, you're really supposed to niche down into what you do, but I am a full, well-rounded woman that loves to do a lot of things, and I know that my readers do also. And so I like to try to keep all of our content really well-rounded, and I get inspiration from a lot of different cookbooks. I look at old magazines. I have a text string of about 17 people that are from all over the place. My grandmother, my mom, some friends, people that I've worked with before, and we're all on this string together, and I'll ask them, what are you guys doing this week? And can I share that for content? It might be organizing a bathroom, or my mom made a really great recipe and she shared that, so then I'll try to create my own version of it. And so they really give me a lot of just pertinent, helpful content. I also have friends who share ideas with me all the time. Okay, we are just off of the kitchen in the mudroom. This space was a complete redo. It was pink peeling hydrangea wallpaper, and I don't even know what floor we had in here. And so this was the first space we did anything with in the home. It is the bones of the home. If you have lots of children, you understand why I have all of these coat racks, hooks, and I got a lot of inspiration from Gil Schaefer. I love his architecture and design. And so I modeled this space almost exactly after another mudroom that he has done. This is actually a panel. It is not tongue and groove that I found that looks just like tongue and groove. It is the wider plank. And so we had these placed on the walls. This is just a custom shelf that we had made with these really sturdy hooks, because I have a 6-year-old who might potentially hang on his backpack. And so these are all helpful in the summertime. They carry all of our pool towels. In the wintertime, they've got baskets for our mittens, and also all of my children's backpacks and things like that. So this is very clean today. I'm actually really enjoying this. Usually it's littered with lots of school papers and all of our fun stuff. So this is really, I would say, like the room we're in probably the most and doing things in. I have all of my laundry hidden underneath this beautiful curtain that I made. I was actually having a hard time choosing fabric for here, because I wanted something that was like timeless, that I wouldn't feel like I needed to redo. So at first I was going to do a floral, but then I thought, okay, if that gets dirty, that's going to be frustrating. And so I picked this is really thick upholstery fabric, and it lays really well. It never gets wrinkled, and it's got all of our laundry under there. Maybe I could show you. Okay, there it is. I don't know if you want to see that. This is another painting from my uncle's store in Maine. This is an original. I don't know the history behind this one, but it looks just like the Adirondacks that we have frequented. My husband and I have been to upstate New York at Lake Placid. It looks just like that, or a Maine cabin. I also loved this little American flag that they had painted in there, and the dogs and white Adirondack chairs. We have those out in our front yard too. So this painting just really resonated with me. I loved the frame, because it's very similar to the woodwork that we have in our home, so it tied into that. I had this butcher block custom made. It is matte finish. I do a lot of floral arranging, as you could tell, and so I do a lot of it in here. I didn't want anything that could not get dirty and wet, so this is fully protected butcher block, And we fold our laundry on this. Like, this is just a workhorse for us. I've got all of our laundry stuff up here, and then the laundries are stacked right on the side over there. So this room is multifunctional. All right, this is another little fun spot in this room. This is actually a keychain holder that the previous owner made and left out in the garage. And I had an idea to make it into a boot rack. So you can see they're all little pegs that are really close together, and I have a heating vent right here that heats the room. And so I had our contractor put it right here over the heating vent so it can dry out the boots if we've been out to the creek or in the wintertime. And so this has been so helpful for us just to keep everything off the floor and not tripping over everything. I found this fun little picture of a yellow lab that reminded me of Penny. These are Penny's little leashes and her little dog hook over here. And then one other thing that's kind of fun in this room, oh, actually two, I created this basket holder. This is where I put all of like the herbs that I go out and get from the garden. I created this, my contractor helped me with this after being at a friend's house, and she had one of these in her kitchen, and I was like, you know what, that's kind of fun. And I'm always having my baskets stacked up against the wall, so we put them up here, and my husband loves when he bumps his head against them. It's like his favorite thing in the world. So so sometimes I have lots of things hanging out of them too, and he does not like that either. So those are nice and clean right now. But the last thing, I have started a duck decoy collection of hand-carved, hand-painted ducks. And so I have, every time I go to an antique store, or even if I'm traveling, I try to find one to add. So right now I have 3, and then I have 1 over on the other side. And I just started about 2 years ago. My stipulation is that it has to be under $15. So it has to be like a really good deal. I don't know why I put that on myself. I just thought it was fun. But they're all so beautiful. One my brother-in-law found, and then my husband stole it out of his bag and put it in our bag when we were traveling home. So one of these is his, but that's okay. And so, yeah, so if you guys ever find one that's $15, let me know and I will buy it from you. But these are all my little things. So hopefully one day I will get them to go all the way across the shelf. That is my goal. Okay, let's go see the kitchen now. Now we are in the kitchen. I designed this kitchen after my grandmother's galley kitchen in northern New Hampshire. I have beautiful memories of her making delicious soups and cookies for us. Some of the recipes I have shared on Instagram. And so I really wanted this space to feel like that. This kitchen was partially done when we moved here. We changed the paint, we changed the backsplash, and we changed the stone on top of the island. I had lighting changed in here, so it was not a full redo, but there was a lot of things that we added. We also added some custom cabinetry too. And I really wanted this whole space to feel nice and light. As you know, if you have children, the kitchen is the heart of the home. Even if you don't have children, and they can get really messy. You bring your stuff in from outside, you bring your stuff home from school, and we're constantly having things just unloaded in here. So I wanted the space to feel clean and open. That way we didn't feel too crammed and like stuff was everywhere. And so we have these beautiful glass doors here that I also used on the other side with the custom cabinetry. I picked this light stone just to keep it nice and fresh. I know I've heard, I guess like white kitchens are going out of style or something silly, but I would say that they never go out of style. This to me is just so traditional. You can accessorize it any way you want. You can make it modern or not. And then I used a very beautiful, I love this tile. This tile is, this backsplash is a hand done square blocked, which I thought felt a little bit more fresh versus a Subway. And each tile, it has a different variation of the same creamish gray undertone. And so I love it. It makes it feel earthy and organic without being too much. It doesn't take away from the rest of the kitchen. So we had these cabinets painted in White Dove by Benjamin Moore, and it's just the perfect, for us, it's the perfect almond white soft tone. So another reason why I needed this kitchen to be nice and clean is because this is where we make all of our Italian food. So when friends come over, I have dozens of our signature family meatballs in our freezer, which is why it's so big. And we always are having sauce and meatballs. And so I needed this space to be nice and clean so that when we're making a big mess, we know where to clean it. I create all of our family recipes here in just right here as I'm working. My sister-in-law loves to cook. I love to cook. And so we like to share recipes with each other. And it's really great for entertaining too. So this space here is where I serve all of our food when we have our guests every other week for small groups. So we have between 30 and 40 people every week that come. They actually bring a lot of their own snacks too. It's really fun. It's like a big potluck with snacks. Everybody chows down. It's wonderful. And so this is where I serve all of that. I like to do it in white dishes, and they bring whatever they have, and we have it all laying out here. So this space is so great for that. My children eat breakfast here every morning. And like I said, I was thinking that it was a little bit too big. I was going to redo it when we were redoing the kitchen, but I decided that with how many people we entertain, we've had up to, I believe, 100 people that I've served in this space, and it worked well. They could go around, then they could go move into the other parts of the home and eat. And so it's actually been really great for our family to have an island this big. All right, so this is our little sitting area that we created within our house. This whole room actually used to be 2 different rooms, and the previous owners took it from a galley kitchen with a very small sunroom into this wide open space. And so it's kind of an awkward area. I had a hard time figuring out, they had a couch here, but because we have multiple families and children that are always over, the couch just didn't seem comfortable. People were kind of, falling on each other. So I created this space. This is where we do homework. This is where my husband and I, after we put the children to bed, we will sit and read or catch up on the news or whatever it might be. These are 2 Pottery Barn chairs I actually found for a crazy deal again on Facebook Marketplace. And I really love this piece. I actually just found it at a consignment store. It has a removable tray, so it'd be great for entertaining if I need to move it somewhere. And I might be putting it down in the new studio that we're building, but it's been great here. We can keep our books and our devotion books on it. And it is from Neiman Marcus, but it's from their Italy line. And so I love that because, again, my husband is Italian, and this just kind of like reminds me of his heritage. The gold with the black is so pretty, and I feel like it kind of elevates these casual vibes we have going on over here. So one of my favorite things to do in a space is if you buy something, let's say that's from Pottery Barn and it's very maybe trendy or modern, and you want to make it feel your own, I love to change out the cushions on these chairs. So I had my upholsterer redo the cushions for me, and we came up with this fun Kaufman fabric. It holds up really well with the kids. And so this just kind of made this chair feel like my own. I added our little needlepoint. A man's place is on his boat because my son loves to be outside. And so I just feel like this chair, it could be very basic and standard, but we made it our own by changing the fabric and adding some fun pillows. All right, I want to show you this plate rack over here. There is a woman on Instagram who I get so much inspiration from. She has a beautiful house in Connecticut, and she has 2 of these flanking either side of a doorway into her dining room. And when we moved into this house, I loved this breakfast nook. This is where we eat all of our dinners. We have family dinner almost every single night of the week. And so I wanted this to feel like warm and cozy. The joke my husband always laughs at me is, what would be better than eating surrounded by books? I just feel like that's so romantic and beautiful. But I couldn't fit a bookcase here because it's too skinny and we'd always be bumping into it. And so instead of doing a bookcase, I got the idea from her, Mara is her name, to do this plate rack instead. So I had my contractor build this out. It was very simple, and I have cookbooks on it. We've got a little plate of my special puppy, which you haven't met her yet. She'll be around, I'm sure. And I got that for Christmas from my children. And then all of these beautiful plates. So I have been collecting these over the last 15 years. I have one from the Mark Twain home, which is in Missouri. So that to me was very special. I have some different antique ones. I've got it really cool estate sales in historic places within in the country. Some of them are from New England, some of them are from the Midwest. And I have Polish pottery on here. My mother-in-law got me this. My mom's been building my collection over the last few years. And then these plates are my favorite, and you probably saw them on the wall on the other side. But these are very old. They're from the 1800s, transferware. I've been collecting these over time and then just add to them as we go. These cookbooks here I chose based off of ones that we use all the time, but they also, like my husband reads out of this book for most of our dinners to our children, and so we keep that on hand. We've got my daughter's favorite cookie book she makes cookies out of, and so these are all books that we use a lot. And then my mantra or my icon Julia Child's cookbook. So we've got a lot of fun books here that we use often. I want to show you a few more spaces that we use every day, some of them that have gotten a lot of views on Instagram, so I think you'll like them. Let's go to the living room. Welcome to the living room. This fireplace is what I always get a million questions about, and I can't take any credit for it. It was the previous owner who did all of this beautiful stonework. They found this, I believe it's an old railroad tie from someplace in Missouri they had shipped here. It is just so fun and very rustic feeling, and we love it in our house. I decorate it with huge arrangements for Christmas. I do fun things. Right now I have some really cool seed pods from the creek that I brought up with a friend, and some iron candlesticks here. But this is like kind of where I get a lot of my creative energy out because it's such a big space but concentrated. This is where I also make the most mess, so I constantly have leaves all over the floor in here and seed pods and random things because I just find this like a really fun creative place for myself to make things and and test things out. I've learned a lot about floral design just from testing things out in here, what different types of foams work and how to secure things when I'm creating so they don't fall over. I've had a lot of things fly off of here, and so learning about how to secure things down and all of that has helped me when I've done an event or something like that before, to know, okay, I totally messed up on the mantle. This is how we can flesh this out for an event. So this is a gas fireplace. We have a real fireplace downstairs. We considered turning this over to real, but we kind of like just not having to take care of it and constantly shovel it out and everything when we have a lot of friends over, and I like just not having to feed it. So we have gas up here, but then downstairs is where we relax with the children and watch a movie, and we'll have a real fireplace down there. This beautiful painting, I searched so high and low for the right piece for this space. This is an antique from the 1800s. It is a Danish vintage painting that I found actually someone had posted it on Instagram, and I commented immediately sold. And the woman who was sharing it, she was like, I knew this would be perfect for your house. So I was so excited to find it. The reason I love it the most, it's a little bit more farm oriented than the rest of the paintings I have in the house. But the reason I love it is that if you're standing back, it looks like you're just looking outside. It continues the view from the windows. So the lighting, the blue sky, and just the view is very indicative of what we have just outside the windows. And so I feel like in the cold winter months, I can look at this and enjoy it. And then in the summer, it looks like almost like a window to what you're looking at outside. So I was so excited about this piece. It is one of my favorites I have in the house. So it can be really difficult to design a large room like this. Where do I put my seating, and how do I create good walkways? In our last house, I had to figure that out. We had a really large room similar to this. I mean, I hop over the dog. And I had to do a lot of trial and error to figure it out. So in this home, we have our general seating area is here. We have a very large couch that you can comfortably seat 3 people. I specifically picked out 3 cushions for that couch versus having 2 because I wanted to be able to let people sit comfortably without like leaning into each other. So this is a large couch with very comfortable 3 seating. We have a large love seat here. So this is actually probably like a standard size regular couch. And so 2 people can sit here. We have large enough spaces for people to walk. So the walkway that you have when you're trying to move between spaces usually should be about 36 inches, but this is a little bit smaller and it's okay. I've actually watched when people come over to make sure they're not bumping, and it's been fine. So to have these slightly closer has been able to give us more space on this side to have the chairs. I think it's really important when you're creating big spaces to not, the number one thing I see people do when they have a large room like this is push everything against the wall, have a small rug in the middle, and then they put a coffee table on top of it. So then when you're sitting down, you can't put your feet up, you don't have anywhere to put your drink, everything's squished, and then the room looks huge and vacant. And so trying your best not to do that by giving yourself a rug. You can actually look on Google I Google this all the time. These are the dimensions of my room. What size rug should I get? And you can figure out the size rug that you need for your room, and then bring all of your furniture, have it at least halfway onto it, and if not fully. And that will give you those intimate, comfortable spaces for people to be able to have conversation. You don't want everyone so far back that you feel like you're shouting when you're talking. You also want them to be able to see your face when you're talking, and make sure that it's well lit enough. I like using low lighting, so make sure you have enough lamps and things to give their eyes and their face, dimension, so you can see who you're talking to. You can let your coffee table be the space that dictates where your walking spaces are. So we have a very large coffee table here. I use it to kind of put out different ideas for my family. So right now I have a Ralph Lauren book that I love, that I'm getting some inspiration from that specific picture for our bedroom. And then I have my James Audubon book here. My son was actually, last night, he picked the magnifying glass up, and he was looking closely at all of the brush strokes and the beautiful feathers within this bird. And so I like to use this space as kind of like a little gallery for my family. I change it out often. This is a really amazing root that I found outside, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna place that in a bowl. Something resonates with me with roots. I don't know what it is. I love the texture of them. I love just like the idea of rooting in your home and being really rooted and grounded. So maybe that's why I love roots. I don't know. I often will bring them inside and like dry them out. But so that's just a root from the creek. And then we have some fun other little like shells from a trip that we went on. This is also from the Bahamas, that conch shell we found on a little deserted island. So, and then of course my florals that I love to do. So I feel like this coffee table speaks a lot to my family. It gives my family things to look at. It tells a story, but it also creates a walking space so that I know where to go within this room. And then we have these are antique chairs. We have these set back a little bit. When we have larger groups, we'll pull them in, but I have them seated back so that you can still walk through. We open this door every day to let the dog out to go to the bathroom, and she's sleeping right now. But so this is pulled back from here, but you could pull it in. You just don't want to have a lot of empty spaces within your room, like big wide open spaces. You want to pull everything in so that everyone feels really comfortable and that they can talk. This is our library nook. I designed it specifically for my children. It used to be a wet bar. They had a keg here and a sink and all of this stuff, and then a huge bar here that you could serve. Because our island is so big and our living space and cooking space is right there, I wanted to be able to have something different here. I wanted to have a space that my children could study and do their homework, be on the computer without me having to worry about what they're looking at, because they're sitting right here in the middle of our home. I did the library style just because we really enjoy reading, and I had a huge collection of books from our previous home that I wanted to make sure that we displayed. This is kind of fun here. So this is a structural wall that we could not take out unless we spent, I think it was going to be $10,000 to put a header in. I didn't want to do that. it didn't feel necessary to me, and I really love creating smaller spaces versus wide open in spots like this because I want it to feel cozy and comfortable. So instead of taking this out or making it just a column, we create a bookshelf in it. So we made it look like it's been here the whole time on the side, and I had my contractor just build a little bookshelf right into the wall that was here before that's holding up the rest of the space. And this just kind of has a lot of different books that we use all the time. I tried to make them aesthetically pleasing, but then ended up just having it being a regular library because that's what we need it for. My kids do homework here most nights. We've got my husband's seltzer fridge. He's obsessed with seltzer. And this is a new item that I just got for Christmas. My mother-in-law got me a record player. I had been wanting one for so long, and that was my Christmas gift this year. We listened to Nat King Cole, and it was crackling while the fire was going with the Christmas tree. It was so wonderful. So I've been really excited about that. My biggest source of inspiration, I would say, is I grew up going to Ralph Lauren stores with my dad. He's such a smart dresser, and that I loved the juxtaposition of the blue and white chinoiserie vases with the crisp white shirts and polo type atmosphere, men's den, but also elevated. And so I just loved that growing up and seeing all of that. And so that, I would say, is, as far as the style and design that I look to, that is one of my biggest influences. What I love most about this home is really the outside. We live outside probably 9 months out of the year, so it's always really hard for us in the winter. We still get out there, but I love the outdoor space that we have, and I love being able to bring that inside. We are always hiking and walking, we're boating on the lake, and being able to bring those elements in of like rocks, and like I said, I like to decorate with weeds, which is so silly, but I think you'll think they're pretty. Bringing in the weeds and just the different elements of the outside is what I really enjoy about this. But just having the space to move and to be outside in God's creation is my favorite part of our house. Let's go see our primary bedroom next. Okay, now we are in our primary bedroom. This has been a labor of love. I have been working on this room for a couple weeks, and I cannot believe it came together in time. This is an antique mirror that I had seen a replica of on our house, and I thought it was really cool, but I was on Facebook Marketplace, again, looking for something else, who knows what, and saw this. It was in a really ugly, like bronze, like someone spray painted it. And it's the original. There was a tag on the back, and so I believe that some of these brands maybe had seen an original and recreated their mirrors after them, but this is the original antique, and it is so beautiful. It's all wood inlay. There are some, funky things with it because it's an antique, but it doesn't bother me at all, some of the reflection things and things like that, but it is so beautiful. So I actually painted it this cream color and distressed it myself to bring it back to what it probably originally was closer to. And then over here, this is our bed and side tables. These are vintage. I have a pair of vintage lamps that I got at an estate sale. My husband was in the car and I said, "Can you please just pull over for 2 minutes? I have to run in there." It was a very standard, normal house, so I don't know what made me feel like I really needed to get in there that day, but I found this pair. They were $75 a piece, and they are absolutely beautiful. They're hand painted, there's texture to them, and the gold is just gorgeous. They're such beautiful colors. So I've had them in a couple different places in our home, in our homes as we've moved. This is a piece of art that I created just to kind of bring in the outside into this room. The room was starting to feel a little bit too clean for what I like to do, and so I just created this art. I'll probably be adding more to it and doing a frame and things like that, but it's a work in progress. It actually has moss and it has roots from outside that I painted to match the rest of the painting, and it also has some seeds and like leaves and stuff like that. I sprinkled those all on there to give it texture. So I painted most of it to be the same color as the canvas, but it has some texture and fun like warm vibes to it. So I wanted to do that to just make the room not feel too clean. Still wanted it to feel warm and rustic. This bed was made by the previous owner, and they were actually going to get rid of it because it's hard to get in and out of the room, and we told them we would purchase it from them. So it was actually just in the standard pine color, kind of orangey yellow, and we had it painted by the local artisan. She painted it white and distressed these sides, and I love it. I think it feels just like it's cozy and fun, but it also feels a little grand. He had it high off the ground, and so I really enjoyed it. I also love the history behind it and that he made it himself. Okay, I want to show you my favorite art piece in the house. This is a pastoral painting that, again, I got on Facebook Marketplace. I had been searching for some different types of art, and this one popped up for $250. I couldn't believe it. It's even gosh, I can't even imagine how much the frame was, never mind the original painting. And I really love the Hudson River Valley painters, the group of painters. They had, gosh, just beautiful colors, and I have a book from them, and every time I look through it, it just makes me so relaxed. And actually need to go to the museum. They have one right near my brother's house. And so this reminded me of their paintings. And I could not believe I got it for $250. Such a steal. This is the Ralph Lauren lamp to keep this space elevated and classy and clean. And then over here I have just some pictures of my children and a clock and something for my jewelry. But when I'm designing a little space like this, I like it just to feel clean, because there are days where I plop my purse on here, or I have a stack of laundry that I need to put away. And so I like having this nice and open. I don't want to clutter it up with too many things. And it just gives it nice and good clean lines for your eyes. Okay, this is my #1 parenting hack of all time. This chaise lounge was actually here in the home. The owners were going to throw it out, and I said, I think we can restore it to its former glory. It was a really beat up, like purple pattern. I think their dog slept on it a lot. So my upholsterer redid a lot of the cushions in it, and I had it upholstered in this really comfortable, relaxing plaid that didn't take over the room. That way I could, if I needed to change bedding at any point, this would still go well with it. And because the reason it's my parenting hack is because my children sleep on here all the time. They take naps on here. If somebody's sick, I don't have to whip out a sleeping bag from under my bed or something. They could just plop right on here. I've already got a blanket. We've got another blanket back there, and they just go to sleep. It's so nice. I wish I thought of it 10 years ago when my daughter was born. But it is just so helpful to have. I'll read on here too, but this is really like my kids' napping zone, and it's so helpful, and it looks pretty. So that's a bonus. So I think what makes a home have a soul and makes it come alive is really taking all of the things that you love and putting them into it. I think sometimes if you don't feel confident in your design, you can try to copy someone's aesthetic down to a T, and you lose yourself in that, and who you are and what your family likes to do. And so I would say art for me is really what gives soul. We have art from all over the place, some really cool, amazing artists, but then also like my kids have drawn some things, and I made a piece last night for over my bed last minute for this shoot. And so I really feel like art is kind of the soul of the home to me. Also just having your family pictures and all of the warm textures within your home that you enjoy and that work well for your family is what will create a memory and a moment in each space within your home. I'd love to show you our primary bathroom next. We just finished putting the final touches on it. Let's go have a look. Now we are in our primary bathroom. This one I feel like was probably the least amount of work. They did a really beautiful job in here. We just did a lot of painting and some custom accessories. The worst part about my bathroom is that because they made this huge, beautiful shower, there was no space for the toilet. So I'm always trying to hide it on my videos and things like that. And so if you are designing a bathroom and it is custom and luxurious, we have heated floors and a beautiful tub that looks out over the land, If you're designing a beautiful custom bathroom like that, please find a spot for the toilet before you finish your design, because honestly, it's like, why would you do that? But anyway, we had the only things that we did in here to freshen it up were to paint the cabinets. They had these in like a really creamy yellow, and we lightened them to white dove, which we have throughout the rest of the home. I also added these nice Kichler lighting pendants. I love hotel lighting. I think it's really beautiful. It actually is really good for even doing your makeup, these specific lights. So I had these done. My husband and I have his and her vanities, which I'll show you mine in a second. And in here, I often find it difficult to figure out what type of art to put in a bathroom, because you know, it's just kind of like an awkward space. And so I decided to put all of these plants up here. I got the idea from a visit to the Four Seasons. They had some really beautiful vases on the wall with plants, and I was like, you know what, I think I could do that over, this is a transition into our closet. And so we have those up there. It just fills the vibe of the rest of the house, and it's clean. You don't have to look at like someone's face in a piece of art staring at you when you're getting ready for the day. So I love that it's kind of just unintrusive and fills in, it makes the space feel a little bit more warm. I think that's one of the hardest parts when you're designing a bathroom, is how to add warmth. So how we did that in this area, in this room, is one, by the color of the carpet that we chose, and that is right outside of our bathtub. And then two is with these custom curtains I had made. My friend, who is a seamstress, created these for me. I designed them, and with her help, she had the idea of the buttons, which I thought were so cute. They're a very fine ticking stripe. I did not want straight ticking stripe because that can tend to go into farmhouse. This is a little bit more refined of that. The pattern is a little bit closer. It's not as faded. And so, yeah, I really love these curtains, and they don't obstruct the view. So you can see we have full view of the lake and the creek and the pastures here and my studio and all of that. So we can see everything from these windows, and I did not want anything to impede that view. Another way that you can add warmth is just by adding some really nice accessories to your space, things that you use all the time. I've got my devotion book here, and one of my favorite oils. I'll show you my side of vanity over here. It's very similar to my husband's. I have a little bit more space than he does, which is nice. And I keep all of my makeup and beauty products and stuff on this side. We've got our medicines and things over here. So I like having this right where I can see it for the kid, so the kids are never getting into things. And so this is on my side of the space. I've got two mirrors, which is so super helpful, and this is fun. So I think when I was little, my mom used to collect all the shells when we would go on vacation, and she had it in a big jar right next to her bathtub. And we would go, and I remember her getting ready and putting on makeup, and I would look through the shells. I just thought it was really, really fun. It's a good memory for me. So I had put all of ours in there too. When we go on trips, I have the kids find them, and then they'll come and look at them in my space. So it's a little bit of remembrance of my mom. I would say when I say the word home, I think of candles and sitting on the couch reading a book. I think of drinking my favorite jasmine tea and watching my children play. We have a lot of background music that we play, again, to engage those senses. And so having classical music playing while we're reading together, or even watching, we love watching movies. That's one of our favorite like Friday night things to do. So home to me is just being quietly in a space together and enjoying each other in a relaxed atmosphere.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.